I don't think that anyone actually says the word Batman in this entire movie.
I mean, that's fine. We know who Batman is. We don't need them to say it. I don't recall any point in this movie where I felt like it was needed. That's the important thing. If it's not needed, then don't do it.
This Organized Chaos video is brought to you by viewers like you. Thank you.
Hello again. Hoping to get some requests out of the way right now. Because there's a couple that's been sitting there for a while, and it's like I really should be getting those out of the way. So here we have Herb Coswell. Look forward to your video. By the way, after you're done with that, if it's no trouble, I found something that may give you some material. It's a review on Matt Reeves' The Batman by BobSheaux. And I'm slaughtering that name, by the way. And I'd love to see your thoughts on his hot takes. Anyways, keep up the great content. Alright, so we are going to check this out. This is not a channel I am familiar with. So, maybe it'll be a good review. Usually when it's suggested to me, it's not the best sign. But who knows? I've not seen this before. So we're going to go down this tunnel and find out. Unless you've seen this, in which case you know what I'm in for.
This review was made possible by contributions from viewers like you.
So I'm assuming he's been doing this for 10 years. That means he's been doing it 2 years longer than I have. So, congratulations, man. 10 years, it's a long time at the YouTube game. Lots of intro. We've been on this still frame for a little bit. I mean, I get criticized for my intro, but I try not to leave it on a still frame for too long.
Ow. Where am...
Let us not stand...
Okay, I kind of dig the mixture of an Adam West Batman with a Dark Knight Rises Bane.
on ceremony, Mr. BobSheaux.
Ooh.
It doesn't matter who I am. What matters is my plan. No one cared who I was until I put on the mask.
Dave?
The fire is rising. What?
You're Black Lantern Dave. Your mask isn't hiding anything, and you're wearing your Black Lantern ring.
Yes, well, you wouldn't...
I'm assuming this is like some sort of story, maybe, within the channel. Which is interesting. I haven't seen YouTubers do this since the day of Channel Awesome, so kind of a flashback. Okay.
want to take my mask off. It would be extremely painful. For you.
Hey, wait a second. Are you the guy that's been trolling me lately?
Of course!
And then you gassed me, hauled me over to your man cave, and tied me up?
Come now, BobSheaux. Now is not the time for fear.
Okay, so it's just pronounced BobSheaux. Okay.
That comes later.
Well, I wouldn't say I'm afraid exactly, but...
Anyway, the next step in my master plan is to make you review The Batman.
Dude, I was gonna review The Batman anyway.
Really?
Yes!
Oh.
What is this all about, Dave? Come on, man.
Well, it's been so long since you and I have done a review together, I just thought this would be a good one for...
Mask.
Oh, right.
Oh, man. That's really hot. I just thought this one would be a good one for us to do together, and if you're Batman, you have to have a villain.
That's true, but you could have just called me an ass if you wanted to review this with me.
I didn't think about that.
Just like the real Bane.
Everything all right here, baby?
Oh!
Oh, hey, Bane.
A lot of setup for the actual review. If I'd followed these channels closer, I'd probably be digging it more. As it is, I'm waiting for the review. But if you're a fan, hey.
Maybe. Dave just abducted me because he's Gotham's reckoning or something, but we're all fine.
I'm Bane.
All right. But I'm watching you, boy.
Really give me Channel Awesome flashbacks when they used to come up with excuses for these crossovers.
How is she doing that?
Oh, it's just a reviewer thing. Don't question it.
Speak of the devil and she shall appear.
What?
Nothing.
So, yeah. My long-awaited review of The Batman. This movie has been hyped up for years, but I just haven't been feeling it. It looks impressive enough, but as I said before, it looks to me like it's reluctant about being a Batman movie. But despite my initial thoughts, I'm going into it with the same attitude that I had when first seeing Batman Begins. My negative opinion was happily overturned then, and I'm hoping that it'll be overturned now. Right off the bat.
Ha! I get it.
Is he going to do the Bane voice the whole time?
Of course!
No.
As I was saying, the movie wants to establish immediately that it has nothing to do with the DCEU and Ben Affleck's Batman movies, and the best way of doing that is to have the main title look like that of the alternate universe Joker.
If the timelines weren't so far apart, I might believe this is Joker's
I hadn't thought of that. That's interesting. Okay.
Gotham.
We open on the mayor of Gotham being murdered by Paul Dano in a creepy gimp suit. Yes, I know he's supposed to be the Riddler, and he does leave Riddler.
I am getting lots of flashbacks from Channel Awesome in this style. It's been a long time since I've seen this style of review.
For the Batman to solve. He's written like the Riddler, and Paul Dano's performance is fine, but despite the character's elusive nature, the Riddler is one of Batman's more visually loud villains out there, second only to the Joker. This Zodiac Killer thing they've given him just isn't Riddler. I get the...
Yeah, but it fits the tone of the movie that they're going for. This is a pretty dark movie, dude. Jim Carrey's Riddler would not work in this movie.
Desire to make it more mysterious than what a simple domino mask might allow, but the same effect could easily be accomplished with a black Zentai hood with a big green question mark on it.
Yeah, but that costume was not going to work in this movie. This movie is just too gritty for that. That's tonally a clash.
Speaking of costumes, might as well get this out of the way relatively early. I'm not digging the look of any of our Batcast. Like Paul Dano, Robert Pattinson is doing alright, but I'm not seeing Batman here. I'm just seeing Robert...
I think he did a pretty good job. I don't think I'd call him my favorite Batman. I did my Batman thing, and I think if I looked at it objectively, it still has to be Bale, but, like, I love Keaton. I think Pattinson does a good job with, like, the, challenged Batman. I like that he plays, this, like, almost like a proto-Batman, where we don't really have a Bruce Wayne persona. He just kind of Batman. So even when the mask is off, he's just Batman.
Pattinson in a batsuit, and kind of a weird-looking batsuit at that. I can appreciate how
I actually really like the Batsuit.
it's apparently compact enough that he can just carry it around in a backpack so he can change on a dime, and the bat symbol on his chest doubling as a multi-purpose cutting tool is nice and utilitarian.
Wasn't that supposed to be the gun that shot his parents?
There was some speculation about that, but if that were the case, then it would be as pointlessly stupid as it is poetic. I mean, what is the point of taking that and making it into a symbol that you keep close to your heart when you're just going to have to keep on constantly replacing it with new, unused armor? To continue, the Dracula collar looks strange, those little darts on his forearms make him look like he's out to murder Gotham's criminals, and the soft features in his cowl take away from his menace. Why mold eyebrows into it if it isn't going to be in an enraged scowl?
I don't know. I feel like it kind of works. It kind of, it adds is Uncanny Valley the best term? Like, there's a more real look to this suit, but in some ways it distances you from him, too, because it's clearly not real. I think it works.
And is Bruce Wayne? You're supposed to be the face of $1 billion company. Get a haircut, sir.
Well, like I said, it's a proto Bruce Wayne.
Zoe Kravitz is fine as Catwoman, but like Batman, she's never actually called Catwoman, and she's running around with a sock on her head. And Colin Farrell...
Yeah, it's a proto Catwoman, too. It's these are early years with these characters.
As Oz, not even Oswald Cobblepot. The Batman's IMDb page literally has him listed as just Oz.
Well, IMDb is frequently user contributed data. What do they credit him as in the movie? Do I have this already that I can queue up? Okay, so at the end of the movie, he is credited as Oz/the Penguin. I didn't know that. Okay. Kind of just interesting. Okay. Don't they call him Oswald Cobblepot? I don't remember.
Is completely useless. The entire internet's gushing over how amazing his makeup is, and it is good in that he's not recognizable at all, but he's not the Penguin. They spent countless hours turning him into Richard Kind.
And as I don't have any issue with Richard Kind, I don't see him being able to carry the role with as much menace as Colin Farrell does. That's the thing. Even under all that makeup, Colin Farrell's performance is still really good. I think it's easy to dismiss it because it's such a great makeup job. But yeah, he does a good job. He does a very good job. It's not a Richard Kind performance.
Get it.
Thursday, October 31st. The city streets are crowded for the holiday.
Why? I would think that Halloween would be a holiday that Gothamites would try to avoid.
Well, especially when it's raining. I mean, who would want to go out in that?
Well, it's early days of Batman, and yeah, Halloween can get to be quite a busy time of year.
I'm there too. Watching. We have a signal now. For when I'm needed.
Robert Pattinson's journal narration here, brought to us by these awesome video camera contact lenses, which is a good way to actually justify the comic book style internal monologue, points out that our Dark Knight has been caped crusading for the last 2 years, but he's still not working with the police yet, so this bat signal is perched on top of a building that has yet to be finished, as opposed to the rooftop of the GCPD. This gives Batman and Lieutenant Gordon the ability to call each other should they need to, instead of just Gordon calling Batman all the time. But doesn't this neutral territory leave them a bit vulnerable? What's stopping one of Gotham's many crime bosses from tracing the bat signal to its source and setting up a bat trap? And the side of the bat signal is...
Well, that's never been done in the comic books before, so we'll have to... that's totally a storyline that's been explored. Yeah, it's always a risk. Setting up communication anyway is going to be a risk.
Is often enough to get any criminals who see it to suddenly run away from whatever crime they're committing. But if the cops are in on this little crime-stopping tactic like they apparently are, why aren't they arresting these guys on sight?
But when that light hits the sky...
The cops are supposed to be corrupt. It's been a while since I've seen this, but aren't the cops supposed to be corrupt?
It's not just a call. It's a warning. To them. Fear is a tool. They think I'm hiding in the shadows.
And the shadows give you power over me? You merely adopted the dark. I was born in it, molded by it.
Really?
Oh, bite me, it's fun.
Batman can't be everywhere, but he is narrowing in on these... Joker goons, maybe?
The hell are you supposed to be?
I'm vengeance.
That's a weird way to say, I'm Batman.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's part of his evolution in this. He's not really Batman in this movie. He is vengeance. He's driven entirely by vengeance. What happens at the end is he kind of learns to use Batman as a symbol, not just to scare the bad guys, but also as a symbol of hope. That's his arc.
I don't think that anyone actually says the word Batman in this entire movie.
I mean, that's fine. We know who Batman is. We don't need them to say it. I don't recall any point in this movie where I felt like it was needed. That's the important thing. And if it's not needed, then don't do it.
I'm confused as to how the Riddler addresses his riddles to Batman instead of vengeance.
Speaking of riddles, you're going to start using this Riddler font for the riddles on your Christmas present.
Oh, yeah, he's called Batman by the Riddler, so yeah. I'm confused. You just said they don't call him Batman, but Riddler calls him Batman. Yeah.
Aren't you?
Oh, totally. After beating the tar out of these guys and scaring their would-be victim shitless, Batman investigates the first of many murders, all of whom belong to Gotham's socio-political elite, as the Riddler seeks to expose the inherent corruption within the system.
So it's like The Dark Knight Rises, where Bane fuels the flames of Gotham's Eat the Rich movement?
Pretty much.
Okay.
I mean, it made sense in Joker for Gotham to be angry at the 1%, since jobs were getting harder and harder to come by, and the most affluent billionaire in town was outright mocking the masses who were down on their luck. But this strikes me as a weird theme to explore in a Batman movie.
Well, that is actually important for his arc. His arc is about how he's out there for vengeance. He wants to just beat the shit out of people. But the city actually needs somebody with a lot of wealth to actually come in and fix up the city, which is what he realizes at the end of the movie. The city needs more than someone just coming in and beat up the criminals.
Bruce Wayne isn't spending his wealth on his personal war on crime. He's spending it on creating jobs and the kind of social programs that should be curing Gotham of a great many.
Yes, in the comic book. Not in this movie. That's part of what this movie's about.
Ailments. But whatever problems Gotham has, they run a lot deeper than what throwing money at them can solve. Speaking of how Bruce Wayne spends his money, this Bruce Wayne lives in a very ornate, very gothic Wayne Tower, maintained by a completely underutilized Andy Serkis as Alfred.
True. I 100% agree with that. I think Andy Serkis did a fantastic job as Alfred. And we don't get too much of him in this movie. Kind of disappointing. We get a bit of him. He definitely gets, he does what he can with what he has. But I would definitely go for more Andy Serkis.
And instead of a Batcave...
And that's just not in the Batman. More Andy Serkis and everything, because he's great.
He works out of an abandoned subway station, complete with its own colony of bats.
Points for staying on brand?
Batman's investigation, or creepy stalking, take your pick, soon leads him to cat burglar Selina Kyle, who offers to lend a not paw since one of her missing girlfriends apparently got herself mixed up in this. After a riddled series of adventures, including Batman flying around in a ridiculous, not bat-like flight suit and a car chase backed up by an almost Imperial March.
I mean, it's not really like the Imperial March, but it's going for the same style, for sure. Yeah, don't copyright me, but yeah, it's the same. It's the same style. It's kind of the idea they're going for. It's not the same music, though. Oh, I appreciate the touch the lightsaber ad on there. Nicely done. I appreciate that.
They finally capture the Riddler and throw his ass in Arkham. And I guess it's a really small Arkham, since he's practically sharing a cell with a very particular supercriminal who I really hope they clean up before tossing him into a sequel.
Yeah, I felt like the Joker cameo was so I just don't need any more Joker. I need a break from Joker. I don't need Joker in every single Batman thing. He's got his own film series now. Can we just do some Batman without the Joker being such a fucking shadow over it?
Before we continue, can I offer my 2 cents on the Batmobile?
Sure, what's up?
One thing I really liked about this chase was the jump that Batman made by driving up this flatbed. I'm sorry, but this makes way more sense to me than the Tumbler. Sure, it could really jump on its own power, but that was the worst Batmobile ever.
Seriously?
I like the Tumbler. The Tumbler felt like, kind of trying to make the Batmobile more practical, whereas the Batman tried to do more of a stylized Batmobile. I still, just from a raw visual, I think the Tim Burton Batmobile is the best.
Worse than the giant toy car that George Clooney was driving?
Yep, worse than that.
I have no brother. It turns out that on top of uncovering the corruption in Gotham's elite, Riddler also had a plan to flood the entire city. Not sure what one has to do with the other, but whatever. Batman fights off a small army of Riddler goons that...
Yeah, he decides the whole city is corrupt and he's gonna flood it out and destroy the city. That's his plot. Supervillains do crazy shit.
That were never a thing before now, thanks in part to an anti-bullet bat antidote, old chum. One of them says...
It's not an anti-bullet bat antidote. I wonder if they're gonna say it's venom, but I just assumed it's the equivalent of like an adrenaline shot.
I'm vengeance.
And this gives him a kick in the ass about how he needs to be more than just someone who beats up the bad guys, as he helps lead the drowning citizens to safety. I really hope that this isn't meant to imply that he would have just run back home after taking these guys down. Selina says, "Hey, let's go kill some rich white guys." Batman doesn't offer any kind of counter-argument to how that's a little bit wrong, and they go their separate ways. So that was The Batman, and it was a decent detective story, but it just didn't feel like a Batman movie. If this were any other movie about a detective trying to capture some madman who's killing people in weird or ironic fashions, I'd have much less to criticize. But the Batman elements feel very superficial and tacked on. The actors were all fine, but I never believed that they were the characters they were claiming to be. It feels even stranger when you notice that the end credits include a special thanks to list of famous comic book writers who have left their mark on the Batman mythos. Clearly this is a movie that did its homework, so why is the vibe so off? I say watch this movie if you don't mind sitting through 3-hour detective films, but there are plenty of other more Batman-y Batman movies for you to enjoy.
Except for Scooby-Doo meets Batman. The dynamic duo ruined those episodes.
Oh yes, they're the ones that ruined those episodes.
Don't make me smack you, Mumbleina.
Oh no, Raven's going to smack me all the way from Oregon. Oh, how did that happen?
That is the power of the classics, Mr. Payne. See you later.
Okay. Final thoughts. I mean, you probably noticed I don't agree with a lot of his takes from the Batman, but I see where he's coming from with it. I think it's interesting how he didn't point out, like, the biggest issue of Batman, which is the goddamn runtime. That's like 2.5 hour movie that's 3 hours long. Cut it down. There's lots of shots that they linger on too long. There's scenes that are like 10 shots when they need to be 3. There's lots of trimming that could have been done on this movie. And that's the biggest issue for me. I think the performances are amazing. Paul Dano, I thought, was a standout. Jeffrey Wright was fucking born for Commissioner Gordon. I thought Robert Pattinson was a solid job. I'd like to see him mature more as develop the Bruce Wayne persona. But as Batman, he worked. He seemed really damaged, and you could tell it was an incomplete character. He was just kind of he was vengeance. He's just, he played it like a kid who's still pissed his parents died and is taking out every criminal he can find. And I appreciate that, like, more emotional, kind of simplistic take on the character. So yeah, it seems like we disagree on our thoughts on the Batman overall, but like I think this review is fine. Like I said, lots of flashbacks to Channel Awesome. Hopefully we don't get flashbacks of all the shit that went down with Channel Awesome. But yeah, just the silly reviewers doing silly jokes, kind of fun. I haven't seen something like that in a while. That was a good suggestion. Thank you.
They think order and chaos are somehow opposites and try to control what won't be.
Do you enjoy pain?
Pain don't hurt.